Good afternoon and a hearty welcome to Trinity Cathedral on this gorgeous spring day. You know, if you stick around in Cleveland long enough, we usually get a streak of days like this, and we all savor them to the utmost, I think. So it's a real treat, and we have music to match, I think, today. Some of Bach's finest, as we've had in this little survey of Bach organ and violin music in the last weeks of the Brownbag. Speaking of, next week is our final week of this spring's Brownbag season, so we hope you'll be here to finish up this lovely Bach journey with us next week when we welcome violinist Jimmy Thompson. Jimmy is a fabulous player, and one could hardly think of anyone better to wrap up the violin aspect of these programs. So that promises to be a really fine one next week when we have Bach in C major and G major. So some of his really joyous, upbeat music for a week from today. Today we have C major and A minor, so a little bit different, but still equally close relationship. Those of you that have some musical background will realize that C major and A minor share the same key signature, that being no sharps and no flats. So it's called the relative major and minor because they're related by key signature, just like sort of cousins in a musical sense. And we're thrilled to welcome Miho Hashizume today as our violinist. Miho's been a member of the Cleveland Orchestra violin section for a long time now, a really superb performer, and you can read about her many travels and accomplishments in the program. She's played often with Apollo's Fire, the Boston Early Music Festival. She plays a lot with City Music here in Cleveland. She does a lot. Teaches, does things in area schools, a remarkable person and remarkable musician, as you will soon hear. And she's going to talk to you before she plays a little bit about the A minor sonata. So you'll hear about that from her. Just before we move on, I want to make sure and thank Uta Vilfroy for her sponsorship of today's program. Uta is one of those pillars of this place, both in support of music and much else here at Trinity Cathedral. And she's actually here in person as our usher today. So thank you, Uta, on all counts. We thank also our longtime supporters, the Cuyahoga Arts and Culture and the Ohio Arts Council. And speaking of support, we're always very deeply grateful for your support, both in terms of your presence here, which we appreciate more than anything, and if you can put anything in those little baskets that are on the table there on the way out, we deeply appreciate it. Of course, it costs money to keep this series going, for the live stream and all sorts of things that are connected with any kind of a concert series. So your support means an awful lot. You folks watching on the live stream today, you'll see a prompt on the screen. You can send in a contribution, should you wish, through PayPal, or you can do it the old-fashioned way and send a check made out to Music and Art at Trinity Cathedral and mail it to Trinity Cathedral, and the address is 2230 Euclid Avenue, Cleveland, Ohio, 44115. So again, our heartfelt thanks for anything along that line. Lastly, you have in your programs today the little half-sheet inserts, and if not, there are more on the table there. If you'd be so kind as to fill those out, it's a really big help to us to hear some audience input every so often. So once in a while we do these surveys, and we're doing it during these weeks, so we're much appreciative of your taking a few minutes to share your thoughts with us on that little half sheet of paper. And I believe that is all I need to say about general announcements. So my share of today's program, to lead things off, I'll be playing on the Flentrop organ up in the back there. And thanks to our wonderful Sam Hubish and his technological abilities, you can see me tinkling the ivories up here on the screen. And I'm going to play for you another one of Bach's experiments in three-movement form. I've mentioned in the last few weeks that this is something that Bach was fascinated by for many, many years, really, although we don't have a lot of extant examples. He wrote about it. We have a few examples. It so happens that this piece that I'm going to play today is one of the experimental three-movement pieces that actually has come down to us in manuscripts from Bach's time. So he wrote this C Major Prelude and Fugue, and of course the Prelude and Fugue he helped to really expand and deeply establish that as a two-part musical form. But then he sometimes would experiment with taking a slow movement and inserting it in between the prelude and the fugue. And he actually did that, and we still have the manuscript from this. And the slow movement that he put in between the C Major Prelude and Fugue was the slow movement from his own C Major Trio Sonata that I played the first week of this series, and that slow movement is in A minor, the relative minor. So it's to give a little contrast of tonality and mood and temperament, all that, between the very solid. Bach had sort of flavors that he tended to write in different keys, and C Major, at least in my estimation, he often would write expansive, wide open, really solidly grounded pieces, and that certainly is the case with this particular C Major Prelude and Fugue. It has deep roots. Of course, C is the low string on the organ, as it were, and so it's all very fitting that it has that sort of solidity and depth, sort of not serious nature, but really deeply grounded nature. I'm hopeful you'll feel that. And then the A minor slow movement in between is sort of a breath of fresh air. It's very free and a little bit lighter in spirit. Even though it's in the minor key, it's very beautiful and has a certain spontaneous sense to it, I think. So that gives you a little flavor of what you're about to hear, and then I say you'll hear some insights about the A minor sonata from Miho in just a little bit.
Thank you.